Next up, we're going to be checking out Limbus Company. 12 idiots and a bus driver fight the entire SCP Foundation by 8-Bit Hypocrite. This guy's responsible for getting me into Limbus Company. Thank you. It's actually kind of awesome. And as far as gacha games go, I could literally scratch the collect everything itch I have by just playing the game. And that's it. It's kind of awesome. Ugh. So yeah, we're going to jump right in. Actually, I'm just going to leave a like immediately because I know I'm going to like it. Let's see where this goes. And by goes, it'll probably be insane because I played at least the first 3 cantos.
I think that we can all agree that mobile games were better in the past. Jetpack Joyride, the original Angry Birds and Plants vs. Zombies, or the good old-fashioned Brave Frontier. Although, I might be the only one that knows about that game. Rest in peace, my love.
Wait, I've heard of this game. No longer be played on. Oh. Shit.
It feels like everything recent has terrible necessary microtransactions or is a completely unfinished cash grab. But all hope is not lost.
I mean, to be fair, that's not just gacha games. I was going to say Bethesda, but frankly, they're not even the worst offender.
For our savior, Project Moon has graced us with the 3rd installment of the Lobotomy Corporation series,
And a lot of books,
Limbus
apparently.
Company. Keep in mind, it's not only a mobile game. You can grab it on Steam as well.
Oh, yeah.
Just remember to press Alt-Enter to make it full screen before you start recording like I did.
You can do that? I just changed... Oh. I was not aware of that. Sorry, just having some kicking myself moment right now.
Welcome back to the city where the streets are full of SCPs and cannibals and everyone acts like that's totally fine.
Yeah, you kind of
If you
do.
don't know anything
Granted, we literally are riding a bus where we feed people to fuel it, so we have no right to say shit.
about the story of this series, just imagine what Britain is like. You play as Dante.
I know they pulled up Dark Souls, but I love they just said, it's Britain. Also, Crocmaniac. To make you even more interested, Nero without context. Recently, Evil visited Nero judging fan arts on stream, and Vidal was like, what the fuck Evil doing here? Oh. They can turn themselves on now. I realize what I just said. Let's pretend I never said that.
An abnormality, which is basically this universe's version of an SCP, with a clock for a head who can't remember their past. You're recruited
Well, they could
as
for
the
like a
new
few
executive
seconds.
manager of Limbus Company, a new corporation dedicated to picking through the remnants of the now destroyed Lobotomy Corporation.
Am I the only one who hears new with air quotes? Yeah, I'm probably not the only one.
Which previously contained these SCP abominations. Listen, if
really should have killed the apple faster.
you want to know the full story of the series, go watch Wordsmith vids. He's in the
Oh, really? Oh, I'm actually go check that out later. Except, no, that might go past what I've seen already.
Progress of making a fantastic series about the story of Project Moon's games right now, and he should really get some more support. By forming a pact with the 12 employees you're managing, you're able to rewind time for the...
I realize what he looks like he's doing there. It looks like Dante is doing the JoJo pose. And considering they've made so many references, they probably intentionally made him do the JoJo pose. Also, I'm not entirely sure it looks like a him in this image.
them, healing injuries, and even bringing them back to life. So let's get a quick rundown of the morons that you're going to be in charge of.
The morons and Faust, who's probably the biggest moron of all.
Gregor, my beloved.
Because they do know better.
An ex-military with a bug arm biogenic upgrade who loves to crack jokes, lays around, and generally lighten the mood.
And cannot
Rodion, a mommy obsessed with
lie.
money who seems aloof but really cares for the others in the group. Emile Sinclair, a timid and weak young man who has no confidence in himself but becomes a brutally efficient killing machine when on the battlefield.
He does? I guess it's because early on, one of the best options you can get to get past Cromer was him, so I guess that makes sense.
Yi Sang, an edgy goth guy who speaks exclusively in riddles who decided to cosplay Aki from Chainsaw Man. Ishmael,
I
a
don't know if
former
Chainsaw
seafarer
Man.
who cares a little too much for rules and organization. Heathcliff, a monster of a man with an IQ lower than room temperature who
Okay, I'm just going to call him right there. That last part, the IQ lower, is probably completely wrong, if only because I've come to the conclusion that he's probably one of the smartest characters in the series. Not because he's smart, but because everyone else is such an idiot.
prefers to let his bat do the talking. Don Quixote, a young woman obsessed with
Speaking of people whose IQ is room temperature, I mean, it's probably intentional on their part, but it's an intentional choice on their part.
becoming a hero who speaks like she's a medieval knight and will never hesitate to help those in need, no matter how much trouble it gets the group into.
Especially for how much trouble it gets the group into.
Hong Lu, a
probably one of the
rich
reasons I
boy
like
with
her.
no idea how the world actually works, but the only one in the whole group who seems to understand people. Ryoshu,
I mean, to be fair, Ryoshu does seem to understand people as well. They just like the fucked up shit, so...
a chain-smoking swordswoman who believes violence and bloodshed are an art form and loves to come up with crazy acronyms for everything.
Yeah.
Marshall, a very quiet man.
Wait, what?
Come up with crazy acronyms for everything. Marshall, a very quiet man.
Wait, that's how you say his name? I thought it was Merceau. I thought there was a silent... maybe I've just been saying it wrong. To be fair, I don't do anything but, read it, so... And if they say it in Korean or Japanese or Chinese, I don't hear it because I don't listen. Huh.
Like, really quiet. Like, he won't talk unless someone asks him to.
Unless it's about food, in which case he went full on French.
Proudest, the most military of the military, she gives and follows orders to a T, yet becomes a yes man whenever someone ranked above her speaks.
Oh, God, yeah. I've actually heard about this before I started playing, and all I can say is... I thought the joke about how they were completely kissing the manager's ass was just that, a joke. I didn't realize that, no, it's completely accurate. This is such a kiss-ass character that is completely an in-universe, legitimate way to describe their character. It's kind of awesome for it.
And finally, Faust. A distant
This is gonna be
super
fine.
genius who's probably more qualified for this than you are, but no one ever listens to her.
Well, that's debatable.
These are known as the Sinners, and they're the only ones you directly control. However, 2 more characters are along for the ride to help our dysfunctional family on our mission. Charon, the bus driver who can't read a map, and Virgilius, the
Or
Red
refuses to.
Gaze. For those that don't know the story of these games, that title might not mean much to you, so let me explain. In the city, there are groups called fixers. Think of them like mercenaries or police forces, taking jobs from higher-ups and enforcing the peace around an area. Fixers are assigned a grade, or a rank 9 through 1. The smaller that number is, the less likely you are to walk away from them alive. In terms of power levels, you could assume a grade 1 fixer could kill a basically infinite amount of grade 9 fixers.
And probably a grade 8 and a grade 7 and get away with a grade 2. It's the power scaling from what I've seen so far is it gets harder to no.
Grade is determined
You
by
walk
either
around
their
pretending to be a
sheer skill
freaking
or by
superhuman.
what technology they have at their disposal. But there's also a rank higher than 1. These are the colors. When a fixer
Okay, I actually learned a few of these finally. Well, I don't know anything about this person yet, and Gabrielle for obvious reasons, and I learned about her and interesting storyline. I then realized it was kind of spoilery, so I stopped reading, but it was interesting.
When a fixer is assigned a color, no other fixer is able to take that color as a title while the other lives, and they're basically considered legendary in terms of power. If a grade 1 could kill infinite grade 9s, a color could kill infinite grade 1s. Colored fixers have either reached the pinnacle of skill, have
And then there's the freaking... Was it Arbiters? No, whatever the hell the one lady was. The one who was sent from the head and did all the bullshit, who just cut the floor with Gebura.
impossibly powerful
I know it's not her actual name, it's
technology
just the one I
or
keep
hold
remembering
an
her by.
anomalous power of their own, making them practically unbeatable in combat. For those who are familiar with the lore, you'll know that in previous games we've already met another red-colored fixer, but she's a bit busy at the moment. So
Wait, at the moment? Does Limbus Company take place at the same time as Library? Oh, for some reason, Arbiter, that's the right one. Thank you. I thought this was happening after Library ended. Oh. Unless maybe they were just mistaken? I don't know nearly enough to say anything. But apparently, according to chat, they're saying, no, it's after. Okay. That's what I thought initially.
And is basically our boss now. And oh boy, you really don't want to piss him off. The goal of Limbus Company is to collect golden bows.
Oh, so it's bows. Oh, I was saying that one the entire time.
Not like the weapon, like the tree branch. See, a previous event in the city caused some cool light to shine down, and now some of it is sealed inside these bows.
And may or may not also be inside of all the people we're eating to drive the bus. Yeah.
We don't really know what they do, but they output a ton of power and everyone seems to want them. The most frequent place these are found are in the ruins of Lobotomy Corporation buildings, which are all sealed underground in order to contain the SCPs inside. Not only will you need to fight off these abominations once you're inside, the golden bow also creates a distortion that affects ego. Again, this is all going to sound crazy if you've never played the series before.
You know, I was just not even thinking about it because I have played Limbus, so it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but... And according to Shaq, light and Enkephalon are different things. Yeah, but wasn't the light putting the Enkephalon into everyone? Wasn't that what they said? I could be mistaken. Either way, though, if he hadn't mentioned that this would sound crazy if you hadn't played the game, I wasn't actually thinking about that because I played the game. It kind of makes sense. Like, oh yeah, distortions, ego. It's like, oh yeah, cool. The really fucked up shit that if you lose your own idea of who you are, you become a monster. Or you already are a monster and then you just become one to match it. Looking at you, Cromer. So yeah, it kind of does make more sense. Granted, even what I have is still just a couple cantos in of not entirely sure what I'm looking at.
Ego is a manifestation of a person's willpower, kind of like a JoJo stand. When nearby the golden bows, the distortion latches onto one of your sinners, and their memories and beliefs shape the area around them.
For everyone who hasn't played the first prologue canto, I said nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing there. Just fuck apples.
For example, in the first storyline, you not only need to fight off some deadly SCPs, Gregor's ego manifests in the form of the war he was in, forcing the whole group to fight off his previous allies. Basically, nothing is ever easy.
What? No, you were still on the side of your previous allies. You were actually being attacked by the current allies who lived, though.
In terms of gameplay, your team will consist of a certain number of sinners, usually 5. Each sinner can equip an identity, which you get from summoning. Yeah, this is a gacha game. We'll talk more on that later. Each identity your sinners equip has its own skills, up to a total of 3.
Don't think I have him either.
Each skill is affiliated with a different sin, those being wrath, lust, sloth, gluttony, gloom, pride, and envy.
Oh, they have a Kurokuma for... Oh, wow. I don't think I have that. Yeah, I have the other version.
But those are too hard to remember, so I'll call them by their color.
Dude, W Corp, she, the assistant. Oh man, I recognize some of these as the old ones. How long ago did this came out? 2 years ago? Yeah, that makes sense. This came out right after the game, didn't it? So these are the old ones. Still think this guy sucks regardless.
Colors instead. When you're in a battle, 2 of these skills will be dealt randomly to that character's column. Each turn, you get to select what skill each character uses, and the more matching colors you have, the stronger skills of that color become. However, the game isn't as shallow as simply matching colors. Every skill also has an attack type, being slash, pierce, or blunt.
I mean, the biggest lie I've ever heard in this game is that matching colors matters. It gives you resources to use ego, but frankly, it seems like the game is less about matching colors and learning what not to use first. Or you over-leveled so early on that you haven't had to actually do that except in a handful of fights. But that's not important right now.
Every enemy is weak to one of these, so make sure to use them appropriately. When an attack is used into an attacking enemy, a clash begins, and each character flips a certain number of coins related to that skill that determines how much damage that skill does. If you win more flips than your opponent, you win the clash and deal your damage.
Laughs in Blood Fiend. For anyone who doesn't understand that, it's fun.
If you lose, your attack is negated and they hit you instead. Dealing damage is, of course, always a good thing. But once a certain health threshold is hit, that unit will stagger, skipping their next turn and taking a ton of extra damage. If you hit multiple stagger thresholds in one turn, that unit will take even more damage. Staggering enemies is vital to keeping your units alive, as
or you just have Blood Fiends and they're absolutely broken because they heal themselves and do damage just based on clashing and they don't have to win it.
skipping turns is incredibly
And when they do win it, they do even more damage.
If your units get staggered, you can basically guarantee they're going to die. Enemies also prioritize hitting staggered targets, so it's gonna hurt. Badly.
Like what he's describing right now is the correct way to say it. I just started playing the game years after this video came out, so I have the team that's like, hey, what's balance? No, we don't do that. And it's fun.
Usually, you don't get to decide where your attacks are going, but during fights against abnormalities, you
not
do.
chain battles, like the
This
base
feels
level
a lot
human enemies.
closer to the battle system in Library of Ruina, and while I prefer this method, the regular fights aren't too bad.
Yeah, they're all fine.
It's still really fun to watch these attacks play out.
Yep.
Each character also has a defensive
Setting up
option
synergies
that reduces or prevents damage that you can use at any time, as well as their own ego. As you use skills, you get sin resources over here on the right side of the screen. Ego is an insanely strong attack. Basically,
I'll be honest, I've mostly just used them to dodge things that I do not want to hit me.
Guaranteed to win you a clash or deal a ton of damage if it's
guaranteed winning the clash, even if it does no damage.
Be used if you have
that
enough
is useful.
sins. When you activate it, Ego consumes a number of these sins, and a cool little cutscene plays where your character activates their ability. The gameplay is relatively shallow overall, but learning when you should attack and
49 damage. 49 damage. Insanely powerful. I mean, I guess early on that would be a lot of damage. And with some of the egos, even in the beginning of the game, that was a lot of damage. But I'm just sitting here again. Blood Fiends, for anyone who doesn't know, that's the, oh god, what the hell are you doing? How'd you get that immediately team that came out in the previous season, or also known as 3 days ago at the time of recording this? Yeah, I got really lucky really fast, and it's fun, but it does kind of outscale everything until later in the game when everything is apparently, from what I've been told, catching up to it. Also, Angelica, you mentioned most teams don't care about res. Envy team, you have 6 envy skill ups, so you lay a finger on me, I break every bone in your body. And because the people who do that, the middle, have a really good response mechanic where they do more damage based on that. The blade lineage? Oh, blade lineage do not break the bones, they take them. The fuck? I don't have nearly enough about blade lineage or know enough about them to know that that's terrifying. But I'm assuming it's probably terrifying.
And when you should block or use ego is vital to actually succeeding, because you'll find out real quick that the difficulty spike is actually a difficulty wall.
Again, I've said this many times, and I'm going to say it again. Laughs in Blood Fiend. And completely not expecting at some point that overpowered level jump because of having newer characters and older content won't suddenly bite me in the ass, and I'll be like, oh shit, this got a lot harder suddenly. Granted, I'm actually looking forward to that, but that's not the point.
Each character levels up individually, but only when you win a battle, meaning that if you fail, you don't get jack shit. And it's going to become very clear at the end of Act 2 that you're not a high enough level. The good news is that identities don't really affect this. You can get just as far with regular old basic Gregor as you can with his most powerful identity. So
Yeah. while the power creep isn't huge, it is real. Oh, God, is it real? Although I think a lot of it's more because they just started building better characters who had better organization that could interact with other people than anything else.
So if you don't summon exactly what you want, it's not going to affect gameplay. What is going to affect it is what level and tier your identities are.
And honestly, I've seen more in tier than level. I've accidentally brought someone in who was level 1, but they were max tiered. And it basically, I'm talking about... Oh, actually, I was explicitly talking about La Manche Manager, so that version of Dawn. And that's not a good one to use because they're broken completely and utterly. So they're broken from level 1 on. If they have more upties, it's just insane.
Not only is it important to level up your characters, each identity has 3 different tiers. The first tier is your...
Oh, wait. Oh! So at the time this came out, the 4th tier wasn't even available yet. Oh, see, that's actually fascinating to me because it does prove that there might be a chance to go even further and more upties, which means that you have higher tiers as well.
Your basic bitch, 2 abilities and no passives.
Yeah.
The second makes your skills stronger and grants that identity one of their passives.
Pretty cheap usually.
And tier 3 unlocks their 3rd skill as well as granting them their 2nd
Yeah.
passive. It's really important to get the identities you want to use in your team up to tier 3. Not only because their 3rd skill is always insanely good, but also because it makes their portrait animated. And that's a necessity, I swear. You level up identities with threat.
With the one exception, yeah, this was during season 1, shit. There is one exception. There's a certain leader of the Kurokuma clan from Ishmael that has a superior first non-animated art. Although if they switched it around and animated the first one... Ooh. Also, just looking at the number right down here and seeing that much Inkafala not being turned into these circle-y thingies kind of gives me stress.
Which is a resource that you get from summoning repeat identities or through selling fragments that you get from Mirror World dungeons. And speaking of...
Okay, sorry. As a collector, that hurts. Everything he just did causes me physical pain. Because there are so many characters at this point that they're all available if you have enough of those ego shards. So just the idea of intentionally getting rid of those shards just to get a few threads, and I'm just... No! Oh God, no! I mean, I've done it before, but that was like for some of the characters I used in my first team, and they were La Manche and Bleed, so it was worth it. But there are so many characters now that what he just did is like saying, I could use this nice little squares of paper for firewood. Throw his $100 bills into a fire to light it. I mean, yes, but also one is way more valuable to me than the other. Now, this is also because there are way more characters I can collect now completely for free based on those ego shards than existed when he was playing the game 2 years ago when it started in season 1. But damn, does that just show a change? Because threads were probably way harder to get back then. I mean, it's still a bitch to get now, but ego shards are way more valuable because you get the character for that.
Of Mirror Worlds, let's talk about them. Since I just talked about how important it is to level up for so long, you may be worried that this game is a grind fest, but luckily, it's not.
I mean, no, it very much is a grind fest. 200 battle pass levels, fighting the mirror dungeon over and over and over and over and over and over and over for a 3-week period to max it out and then go beyond it to get almost all the characters I needed. Couldn't get Sync Association or so.
That's what Mirror Worlds are for.
More
Once per day,
grinding!
you can enter one for free, or spend a lot of your energy to enter one again, because of course this game has energy. It's a mobile gacha game.
Oh, did that change? Because the ones I've been playing, you only pay if you win. You could choose not to. So apparently this one is pay to enter, and they must have changed that later. Oh, that's actually a really cool technique that make it even more approachable to regular players.
That's like a requirement.
Huh.
Luckily, it's only a medium energy cost. This allows you to enter a mirror world, which is a procedurally generated dungeon that you can advance through, encountering battles, events, and obtaining ego gifts that give unique passives for each run. It's basically the Limbus Company roguelike experience. At the end, you get tickets that level up your characters super fast, as well as fragments that can be turned into thread for you to tier up identities.
He's saying that thing again where you intentionally burned the fragments. Early Limbus was different. Like right now, it's like, oh yeah, you also get ways to level up. I forgot that was part of it. I legitimately 100% forgot you got those from this part. Granted, I got all my main characters to the max level cap I'm at right now based on Kanto 3, so I can't say shit, but just hearing you can get thread by burning ego shards, it sounds wrong. And I know, games changed a lot, but just hearing what it used to be like, man.
These are super worth it, and once you understand how to progress through them, only takes about 10 minutes to do. This prevents the game from turning into a grinding slog, and they're honestly pretty fun. Now,
I mean, admittedly, I still do like mirror dungeons. Like, you get to try out all the models or all the characters you could put a short amount of uptie into and see how good they are at max level. But damn, is it still a slog, man.
Now, on the other hand, let's talk about the gacha system. While I did say earlier that it's not necessary to have good identities to progress, it definitely helps.
Wait, was that
Higher
Fire
rarity
Fist? Oh, Liu Association, never mind. I saw fire in the background.
Identities are strictly better and will certainly make things easier. However, I do respect Project Moon for not making it necessary to progress. It costs a premium resource called Lunacy to summon, 130 for a single summon and 1300 for 10.
Is he doing them one by one? He's actually doing them one by one.
They load you up with a ton of Lunacy, so you're pretty likely to get a few good identities. After about 40 summons, it starts to slow down considerably, but there.
Also, according to Lunam, I can't butcher names. Oh god, Mirror Dungeon was only 3 floors back then. Oh wow, it's up to 5 now. So apparently, a lot of things have grown from what I'm used to compared to what it used to be. Oh wow.
There's daily, weekly, and seasonal missions that progress a battle pass with some really good rewards.
Yeah.
These seasons are scheduled to reset roughly every 3 months, and I'm
But not
excited
always
to
3
see the
months.
future identities. And
I've heard a few of them. Did one of them take 6 months? Yeah, because I think the season 5 that just ended now and started in December.
egos that are added. As with all gacha games, it's very likely that power creep will eventually become an issue, as it helps people stay interested when there's more powerful units. However, I think there's a lot of ways to add identities without making new ones broken,
I mean, on the one hand, he's completely right. They added identities who were absolutely so broken that even though they've been out for multiple months and or years, they're still useful. One of the ones I'm thinking about is a 4 or a 2 circle, whatever. The curse version of Sinclair. He's really useful.
you can switch up which status effects and sin types identities use
Young
while
Gregor.
keeping their
Wow.
power level the same, so people have more options to use in their teams. I hope Project Moon is able to keep everything balanced, because on release, it feels very fair. I don't feel pressured to spend money, and I'm still progressing rather well through the game.
I mean, yeah, that part didn't change. The power creep is there, but free to play is actually stronger now that it seems like he's treating it here. Wait. No, they still have dispense in this part. Okay.
I don't feel pressured to spend money, and I'm still progressing rather well through the game. One problem is that for regular summoning, there isn't a pity system, meaning that you're not guaranteed to.
Oh, they didn't have a pity. You're right, that wasn't there. Because the pity isn't too hard here, and honestly, the rates aren't bad. I've put in a total of, I paid for the new battle pass, so $94, $95 into the entire game in the month I've played. And that's just because I bought one standard, starter pack, and then the battle pass twice now. But not having a pity would definitely make it so I would never pull on this. Granted, I've only never needed to reach pity, but that's not important. Right
Rare
now.
at any point, but again,
The rates
since
aren't
it's
bad.
not necessary, I think that's okay. While I
But-
certainly would have preferred the Library of Ruinous system of obtaining identities, where you get them from defeated enemies, I'll survive with the gacha. But one thing I couldn't have survived without is the art style and music.
Yeah,
Holy
it is pretty
shit,
awesome.
It's all perfect. The art style remained basically the same between games, and I absolutely
She was
adore
knocking
this
off the window.
digital oil painting style they use. You can see each of the paintbrush strokes, and the contrast in dark and light colors is beautiful, making these washed out, depressing backgrounds with the characters popping out in the foreground. It's
With the exception of Chiron, who you have on screen, who is the most washed out character ever, but is also one of the most colorful in personality, and I kind of love it.
absolutely incredible, and in battles, it looks great as well.
Yeah.
Again, fantastic backgrounds, but now characters are reduced to smaller, less detailed versions of themselves.
Except for when you zoom in.
Each identity has a unique model with their own animations for attacks.
Highly stylized,
with their
too.
third most powerful attack having a custom flashy animation. Meanwhile, each character's ego attacks cause a
Wait, so early on, it was only the third card that did it? Because there's a few second cards now for a lot of characters that are just as flashy as the third, if not a little less. Huh. Also, Vinci mentioning there are far worse pity systems. Dude, I played Fate Grand Order. Yeah, you're right. There are a lot worse pity systems. I mean, I've heard they got one now, but it's, don't.
short cutscene and are always the same no matter what identity you're using. All in all, everything looks fantastic,
Except for the ones that have changed.
especially the attacks. They have satisfying impacts, and watching the camera move to catch the action is really cool. The sound design is also on point, with weighty, bloody sound effects. Slashes and smashes have very cool sounds, and clashes result in a weighty tinging sound.
See, here's the thing. I've been playing this mostly as a side thing because I've been grinding Mirror Dungeon, so I usually have the sound off. And all I can think is, oh yeah, there's sound effects! Because I only really get to hear the sound when I'm fighting on stream because I can turn the sound on rather than just grinding on the background where I can't really turn sound on. So it's actually kind of nice. And Shaq mentioned FGOs is bad. It's only for whales. Here's the thing. I started playing back when there wasn't a pity. I talked to people who dropped $1,000 and did not get the character they wanted. I usually had a cutoff of, okay, I've hit my limit. I'm not getting this character. And kind of sucked because there was a bunch of characters I wanted I just didn't get. I'm glad I did that because there's a lot of people I know who spent way too much money on that. It's one of the reasons I moved to Genshin initially because it helped me stop playing Fate. And probably saved me a lot of money because I didn't pull on the weapon banners. Yeah, my entire time in gacha has been literally stepping down to better and better gacha systems so that I spend less money. Like, I'm playing multiple gachas right now, and I'm still spending less in total than I did playing Fate Grand Order ever. So it is actually a better option. It also helps that I've moved from, Genshin then into things like Limbus Company. So, yeah.
Like swords colliding. You'll also hear a lot of coin flipping, since that's how damage is decided.
Or you would if, you
Luckily,
remember
this
to turn
is
the
a
sound
really
on.
good effect as well, so it's not getting old anytime soon. But while the sound effects are good, the best parts of the game are those with voice acting. Limbus Company is fully voice acted, and while I can't understand it since it's all in Korean, the actor...
How many rounds did he go for there to be that many available options to fight? Turn 10. Oh, that would be why. I've never gone to a fight that went beyond 6. I think only then because I was trying to play around with being tactical and not using the big skills. Yeah. And Valerian going, oh my god. Yeah, no, just Fate, man, it was not cheap. I got deep into it, but I never went as bad as some people. Also, because I was streaming it, it was a tax write-off, which is good because it wasn't making money. It's a fun story, but... man, money sink.
Actors are absolutely fantastic. From Gregor's lighthearted attempts to deceive someone...
Yeah.
그쪽이나 우리나 우린 저 금고의 돈을 노리는 게 아니야. 물론 돈.
Yeah, when they were fighting through the mariachi hideout. I know it wasn't mostly mariachis, but that's the best part of the entire chapter, so I'm going to leave it at that. And they are right. The voice acting, I think, is in Korean. Only Korean, no other language. Don't understand a word of it, but you can hear the emotion perfectly. So it does add, even when you're just reading the words down here, you know what they're going for, and it's awesome. Oh, and Quantum, you stopped at Ilya Miu, and then you stopped? Yeah, I got up into Epic of Remnant, got to a certain storyline about a pit, and I'm just going to leave it there. I lost track and faith in the writing really hard there. Apparently got better later, but at that point, I'm not going back for money reasons.
원이 있으면 좋긴 하겠지만
To Yi Seng's quiet riddles.
그저 무의미한 자랑이기 때문이요.
I shall not. That would be a hollow vault.
지하에서만 해도 말 많지 않았냐?
Oh, hi. Characters who I have no conflicting feelings about, or I'm assuming one of them's going to come back to stab me. Was not expecting that jump scare, but in hindsight, I should have. For anyone wondering what I'm talking about, nothing. I'm talking about nothing.
여기 또 이상해진 거야? 본인은 원래부터 이상이었소만. 됐다.
All the way to Don Quixote's energetic shouts.
Oh yeah, when she was geeking out over the guy who killed her before she was brought back. Because they literally have a superhero here. I wonder when we're going to get strong enough to fight him. It is weird though, that, like, he does have both mechanical arms.
시간이 얼마 없지만 사인은 해줄 수 있지.
그게 정말이요? 그럼 사인은 여기.
The voice actors not only have wonderful voices
Yeah.
that suit the characters, their inflection and emotions really come across. They suit the story
Even across
perfectly,
languages.
and the game wouldn't be the same without them. Not only that, every identity a character equips has unique voice lines, and the inflection of their voice can change with those as well. While it doesn't change any of the story voices, it's cool to hear the lines in battle. I also can't seem to escape complimenting Project Moon on this every single game, but the soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah.
It keeps with that incredible style that both Lobotomy Corporation and especially Library of Ruina had, where they
Also, I have been listening nonstop to Gabura's theme ever since he showed that like hard rock mix, and I'm just sitting here going, dude, every time, and it's so freaking good. Also, Zero, let's pull it up here. Did I know that Library of Ruina, the prequel, has a Black Souls mod? Do not Dark Souls, Black Souls. Oh, not Dark Souls, Black Souls. I don't know. I didn't even know they had mods. I might look it up later because I have no idea what it means.
They use a combination of classical instruments and electrical synths. There's
And then
nothing
flat-out
like
metal.
hearing a violin start a melody only to have a drum beat and electric guitar kick into the background. It's all done by a studio named Millie, and they're doing incredible stuff.
And
Just
they
like
claim a lot
Library
of
of
it.
Ruina, the soundtrack changes with the intensity of the battle, meaning every battle track has 2 or 3 variations with rising energy. Seriously, go watch the promotional video for this game. That song goes fucking hard. And not everything is a fast-paced bop. There's quite a few songs at more tender parts of the game that only involve choir singing slowly or a sad violin. It's all incredible, and I guarantee you're gonna get punched in the feels at the end of every act. Every section of the game is
So far,
focused
yeah.
on a single sinner. Gregor in Act 1, Rodion in Act 2, and Sinclair in Act 3. We only have
And honestly, the Rodion one felt like a cop-out because it doesn't feel like we really finished her storyline. Gregor, honestly, even his feels like it's just the opening to his storyline because we're not dealing with him and his family. We got the introduction to his family. Yeah. And for Rodion, we got the introduction to her fucked up relationships. The only person so far who felt like we got their storyline is Sinclair, at least up to Canto 3. Now, maybe that changes later on, but at least out of the first 3, it doesn't feel like we're getting their story. It feels like the intro to their story more than anything else, except for Sinclair, because his feels like we have his story down, and now we're seeing where he goes from there with his may or may not be gay love interest, and or friend, and or stalker.
of those 3 so far, but when you clear the final mission, you get a cutaway of the aftermath for that chapter. And while the credits for it roll and the art slowly zooms out, a song plays that's sung by the character for that act.
And gets claimed every
It's
time.
really cool, and hearing the sinner sing about what just happened and how they can move on is a fantastic send-off for each section of the game. I could gush for hours on the soundtrack, so we should probably move on. As much as I
know exactly.
love
This
this
is Gregor's
game,
ending,
it's
yeah, where they just
not
failed.
all perfect. Limbus Company has some glaring issues that I hope are fixed in the future,
like
so
what?
let's go over some real quick.
So this is actually going to be an interesting part to me because this is in the future, of course. So everything he's talking about, we get to see, have they worked on, or is this still an issue? I'm so new to the game that if it's an issue, I might not have noticed it just due to new player glasses. Or in the normal speak, me being an idiot. Yeah.
First is, of course, the low gameplay depth. While I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people say, I will definitely agree that it's nowhere near Library of Ruina, which is honestly a little disappointing, but
Now, having not played Library, I can't say how detailed it is. But at least right now, there does seem to be a lot of depth, but it's more just like setting up combos and understanding who you need together. So like it almost feels more like a card deck building game where when you hit start, you're seeing the payoff. But that's also because I'm playing with overpowered characters and I can make combos with it and set things up to do absolutely bullshit. Like, okay, I'm doing bleed, blood fiends. You're going to do rupture. You have a bunch of guys with swords who do some fun shit. You're doing burn, fire everywhere. And there's enough pieces right now that if you can assemble them from the various completely open gotchas, I think burn does require something from Walpurgis, and I don't have that. But when it eventually comes out, I'm going to make sure to go for the Otis that does have the burn enabling. But it does seem like it's more about building a team right now, and that's the depth to the combat, and the actual fight is the payoff, it seems. Now, again, that's early on, and I know there's game modes I haven't reached yet, so that could be different.
I truly believe that the story
So maybe
is
it got
worth
better
it.
just with time.
However, that's not perfect either. Since each chapter focuses on a specific sinner, some chapters are going to just be more interesting if you like that character.
Or if you like Dawn, because she makes herself a big part of everything. Oddly enough, Ryoshu kind of, at least in the first 3 cantos and the Intervallo, is kind of awesome in all of them. Yeah, she's my second favorite character just because of how she's chill with everything and kind of enjoys this world.
For example, I loved Gregor's chapter, but I was honestly pretty disinterested in Rodian's. And
Really?
then chapter 3 came along, and I honestly don't know if Sinclair's story can be topped. It's absolutely incredible.
I can't say because I haven't seen beyond Sinclair's story yet, but the comments I saw in chat when I was doing this live was somewhere along the lines of, oh yeah, this is the 3rd worst chapter in the game. Because the 2nd chapter was the weakest, and the first one was right before it. And then the 4th chapter was better, and then the 5th chapter was better than the 4th, and the 6th chapter was better than the 5th, and the 7th chapter was better than the 6th. And I'm assuming that's going to be the next chapter, 8, which just came out, is going to be better than the 7th. I'm seeing a pattern here. I have not got there. I don't know. But this is exactly what I've seen too. I've seen up to this one. I just finished the Intervallo with the chicken. Freaking chicken, man.
Again,
that
the
chicken?
story is great. I just worry that a lot of people will skip one character that they don't like and miss out on a huge chunk of it.
So, Merceau? I mean, to be fair, the game kind of skips out on Merceau as it is, so it's not really changing.
Also,
apparently he's been rhyming, I've been told, in the entire time he speaks, and I never picked up on it because I can't tell a rhyme to save my life.
game is wordy. Like, really wordy.
See, this is actually something I'm going to heavy disagree with him on, although it might be my perspective here. When I think of a wordy game, I think of Arknights. Arknights has decent writing. It is well done. But they will spend 10,000 words to say 10. And every single broke-ass peasant who's never seen a school, a book, or a shower in a decade speaks with a level of eloquence only supported by their sheer girth of dialogue. Oh, no one is concise, and while it's not bad writing, it is overwrought in the extreme. Now, I'm not sure if that's a translation issue into English, and I have heard there are some sections that were a lot more concise in Chinese. But that's what I think about when I think wordy. When I think of the dialogue here, and maybe this changes, because I heard the next chapters get longer. They're as long as the first 3 cantos put together sometimes. But the first 3 seem very tight in how they're written. There's not a lot of stretched out things. And there's actually a few individual sentences, like in the casino in the second canto, when the mariachis are talking about the dance. It's this dumb little comedic scene. And they turn to Dawn and go, your dream doesn't seem sincere. And she just drops the high-pitched act and goes, oh, I see. And the voice acting is really deeper. It's still high-pitched, but by comparison to the incredible volume and pep, it's a huge change. I'm like, I don't know the context, but there is something here because they dropped, like their character switched on a dime for reasons that were not explained. And that is a single section of dialogue. It didn't even finish the box you would put into it. And it's that level of sudden, immediate, individual words have weight that they have captured in here. So it doesn't feel wordy when a single word, a single phrase, a sentence could tell a chapter's worth of dialogue. And then there's Genshin and Honkai Star Rail, where their writing team right now is how much time can we kill by bullshit that should have been cut out by anyone with a competent editor? Yeah, that hurts me, everything I just said. Yeah, let's pretend I didn't say it.
In Library of Ruina, you could more or less decide when you talk to characters, allowing you to decide when you wanted to hear the story and when you wanted to play.
This is roughly 15 minutes of straight dialogue with less than 2 minutes of gameplay in between. Yeah, but usually it's good.
Limbus Company, entire sections of the chapter are locked behind dialogue, and some of it lasts upwards of 5 minutes.
But this part was interesting because, I mean, admittedly, I love the art here, but you got to see the characterizations of what they found interesting because they were giving you character pieces like the rich boy, but what he thought of was rich was mostly played off for humor, but also establishes that his level of understanding is from such a high echelon that I don't know nearly enough about his character. I need to still go and see the initial source material to figure out what's going on with him. Yeah. Oh, and then the Yi Sang is in there. Honestly, I think out of all of them, he's probably the worst written because he just kind of hasn't done or said anything of value. People say every now and again that, oh, this has meaning. And I'm just sitting here going like, yeah, but I don't know it yet. And it's not like when Dawn did it, it was like, oh, there's an obvious clue here because of the voice acting showing weight. Maybe it'll come up later. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
While I don't mind, this is a really complex story after all. I do think that there should be more frequent gameplay sections if the dialogue goes on that long.
And I have been told though that the next chapter or Canto 4 on gets so much longer. So maybe it becomes a yap fest. Again, I'm basing everything I know after the first 3 cantos and the intervallos, so I could be very off on this one.
I was close to skipping some of the dialogue in the longer sections just because it had been a while since I actually played the game. Another glaring issue is readability.
Oh, yeah, because if you're not Oh, I just noticed it. They've changed how these look. I thought there was a splash card at first, but no, this is how the character was initially shown. Oh, this is terrible. I'm glad they changed it. Also, I apparently did miss Angelica when she said, the Kanto stuff got better. I hated Heath and Honglu. After Heath's Kanto and not even done Honglu's, they are my top 5. Oh, wow. I'll be honest, I get Honglu because he's played off more for a humor right now and hasn't really had much depth show. But Heathcliff, I'm kind of surprised about because early on, like other than the prologue where he was just unga bunga and then had no depth, he immediately starting right after that, starting at the end of the prologue, was the guy who kind of figured out what we're looking at before everyone else did. And I mean, Faust probably figured everything out immediately, but doesn't tell any people because I think she actually likes the chaos.
Remember earlier when I talked about how important it was to tier up your identities and how you could check what types of sin their skills were? I didn't figure out how to do that until I was more than halfway through the game. There isn't a tutorial anywhere
Why wouldn't you? Sorry, I'm just used to the gotcha style of, okay, not even a gotcha style, the RPG style of, hey, there's this thing that it's glowing. What happens if I press it? Oh, skill go up? Cool. I mean, I play most RPGs by, there's a glowing button. I should probably press it to see what happens. It doesn't always work out well. And honestly, if this was a MOBA or a competitive game, that might be a dark pattern to make you pay for something without realizing it. Yes, that is a thing that happens, and it is, unfortunately, not illegal. Yeah. Diablo Immortal did that. One more reason why I'm never going to play that game, on top of it being just a dumb game. But at least in this game so far, the shiny press is a valid strategy. Also, because everyone was talking about it, so I kind of knew the upties thing is something I should probably press. Which I would have pressed it eventually because, ooh, shiny. But I pressed it faster because knowing it was good.
Telling you how to navigate these menus, you're just expected to understand.
Yeah, that is true, because when I first got in here, I didn't know what it was. I just clicked around. It's not horrible. There's some games where they're so overwhelming that it actually is a problem. On the other hand, I have played games where they're so far advanced that when I logged into them for the first time, it was 5 minutes of, okay, here's another prompt to tell you what this is. Here's another prompt to tell you what this is. Here's another prompt to tell you what this is. And by the end of it, I forgot everything because I don't care. Let me just play the damn game. So I also missed that every single prompt was important, but every single one of them was just one after the other. This I'm on the fence about because it's not such a difficult system. As long as they tell you where drive is, you can kind of figure it out from there. But I also don't like it when they overly hold your hand and they force you to read every little prompt explaining it, because they can build up really far into a game where the initial experience is, I'm just going to turn this off and never play again because fuck this. Yeah, it's annoying when that happens.
In order to tier up identities or even view their skills, you need to go to the center tab and hold down on their portrait. Just clicking it will simply allow you to change their identity.
Yeah, but if you also hold down again, although I guess playing on PC, because he has the cursor up, he would have a different interaction with it. On mobile, you immediately just have the idea of, okay, what happens if I press it? And you just hold a little longer because you don't always click. Because sometimes things change. If I had done it straight on PC the first time, I might not have done it the same way. Granted, I was also told to hold things on, so maybe that would be it. I guess I probably should filter that my experience with this game is not entirely normal because I did this on stream, so people were telling me things that I needed to know immediately. So it might not be a good example for what I dealt with, because that might not be the best way to look at it for the new player. I probably should keep that in mind.
Again, you're not told this anywhere. I just got resources saying I could tier up an identity, and since I didn't know what that meant, I spent 10 minutes looking for how to do it until I finally just gave up and Googled it.
Although, to be fair, the initial way this is described right here is kind of shit. I would have no idea what this button meant. It does say level up now.
And again, you're not even told you can tier up identities. What I expressed as the most important system in the game isn't even told to you, and that's really annoying. Another really... Well,
I mean, he hasn't talked about dispensing. Oh, he's talking about leveling up, not dispensing. Okay.
The annoying thing is that this game doesn't tell you identities have alternate art once they hit tier 3. I really like this and I think it's super cool, but why can't I view the art just to see what it looks like before the identity hits tier 3?
Okay, that part, I do agree with him. I have mixed feelings on it because I like the uptie art being a reward, but also you see the uptie art when you roll for the character, not the initial art. So... But yeah, that hasn't changed. You still don't see the art in the character sheet until you get there.
For example, I was trying to summon this featured Gregor identity for like 70 summons, only to realize later that I had gotten it on my second try, and I didn't realize because the identity art didn't match the one featured on the summon screen.
Oh, that's what he meant. Yeah, actually, I've run into that issue. I got Manager Dawn and didn't realize it was the same one as the crazy blood, cape, everything. So yeah, that actually did hit me, so that's still a problem.
That's really, really frustrating, and that definitely needs to be changed in
Still hasn't.
some way. The good news is that that's it. Those are the only real problems I have with the game, and now that you know about them, they shouldn't be problems for you.
Honestly, there is one that I've run into. On PC, it's not an issue, but on mobile, it's a bitch to try and drag these where you want and then read things. Like, I have a reasonably large phone, and it's hard. It's legitimately hard to read and click around because they're small little buttons, and I got fat fingers, man. It's legitimately hard to use it. On PC, it's perfect. Mobile, I use auto because I can't see shit.
Overall, I think the game is incredibly well made, and even though the story only has 3 chapters right now, it's already about 14 hours long, which is...
And I have been told the next chapter is as big as all of these combined. So yeah, he's basically reporting on what happened when what I've experienced is all there was. Hell, I might even be further because the Intervalo came out, which was the first event they had.
crazy.
Or at least the first event I
I'm
know
really
about.
excited to see where it goes next. Finally, I just wanted to talk about the care put into this game. While some people might be upset that this isn't a full $60 PC experience, it's definitely not just a cash grab. It's incredibly clear how much work and love went into Limbus Company, and I think that's great. Whoever designed these characters deserves a raise. My Discord profile has already been overtaken by Don Quixote propaganda.
Dude, propaganda implies that it's not completely accurate and you should submit to the Don. But I would never say that because you would never need to be told that. You have already considered Don Quixote as the best character and you have given in to the obvious manager Sama. Sorry, my apologies. I'm used to all things to do with gacha games involving Japanese isms like that. Esquire, manager Esquire, my apologies.
Project Moon really cares about this series, and this is obvious just from
also a
how many
Korean game on
little
top of that.
Easter eggs are in this game.
Yes!
While some of them are incredibly obvious, like the sinners all being themed after a specific story, there's a ton here that
Ooh, do they
only
actually have the name of the thing Ryoshu was from? Just going to go back a bit. Oh, yeah. Ryosuke Hakagawa Hellscreen. I need to read that. I do not know. And Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Faust. Yeah. I'm sure that's fine. Oh, I just realized they're doing this similar posing. Not the same, but pretty close.
there's a ton here that only fans of the series will understand.
Answer, you don't like Dawn because you have a sister that actually acts like that? Yeah, in real life, that would not be fun. In a game, it's fun because you can turn it off. If that was all the time, oh, yeah, I get that.
Like how I explained the red gaze earlier. If you haven't played the previous games, that title doesn't mean anything, but for longtime fans, that's insane. Or how Don Quixote has a charm on her coat that represents the purple tear. Again, that's a crazy callback to Library of Ruina. And probably the biggest, most insane reference is that we've actually seen both Virgilius and Charon before.
You have?
But you wouldn't know that if you just played the games, because the only time we've seen these characters before is in a webcomic Leviathan, released by...
I've been told I need to read this one because that's the purple gaze right there. Because I actually found this wiki, Walking Ruina, found out about the purple gaze, found out that she was the Roland's teacher, found out that she was in a comic called Leviathan that involved Virgilus. And I still need to read the damn thing because apparently it is in English now.
By Project Moon in 2021. The sheer scale of this connected universe is absolutely insane, and it's very clear that Project Moon cares incredibly deeply about it, which is why I don't think this game can be called a cash grab. There's so much work and love put into this from the art, music, and story that I'm on the edge of my seat for what comes.
Oh, I said purple gaze instead of purple tear. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to not make a joke about a tier list of purple now. My mind is a fucked up place.
All in all, Limbus Company is a fantastic game. While a bit shallow in the gameplay department, the story and characters are absolutely worth your time, especially if you're familiar with the Project Moon universe. The gacha system is in a balanced state right now where I don't feel the need to spend money, which is fantastic.
And honestly, that has got better. In fact, it's one of the reasons I love it. I have a thing about collection. I love to collect things. Pokemon, wanted to catch them all. Stopped when I realized how expensive games were when I had an income of Is it Christmas? Also, I'm old enough that that is legitimately not a joke. Yeah. But other games, Battletech. I got into the video game versions in both MechWarrior and the Battletech video game itself, where it was more turn-based. The collection of new mechs was so much of a I love this moment that I got as addicted to that as I did to most gacha games because I just like the collection. You can do Limbus for free. It's better if you put like $11 in to get the battle pass because it just makes it more efficient by 2 times. Yeah, technically 3 times. But it's just, that's it. For an entire season, $11 is probably the only thing you should pay for it. And if you normally value the amount of entertainment to $1 an hour, that's a pretty good turnaround. Considering if you say a movie, for example, let's say you go to a cheap theater and you pay $7 for a ticket for 2 hours. That's $3.50 an hour. If you're doing $11 for between 3 to 6 months, that's not a bad turn on investment considering most gacha games are, okay, here's your $100 to $3,000 you've paid this month. I mean, I say the $100 should be the upper limit for any gacha game whatsoever. And there are people who will wail on every character for a month, and 3,000 might be the low end. And that's if they play a single game where they max out a character. Yeah. Let's not talk about that. Also, just because I can. Purple Mist. There we are.
And the art and music are next level. I highly recommend it, and I would try to give it a shot on PC if you can,
Probably
simply
better there too
because
than
I think
even
the story
mobile.
is better experienced that way. It's absolutely free on Steam, just don't spend too much cash if you decide to summon a bunch. I
Yeah.
might revisit this
And honestly, if you stop getting rid of your ego shards for thread, you would have to pay less.
game later once more chapters have been added, but for now, all I can say is
Oh, I wonder if they just weren't available this early on. Oh, that actually could have been a thing. He didn't talk about dispensing, so maybe it was less emphasized early on. I don't know.
that I'm
'Cause I
excited
didn't play back
to
then.
see
When I
where
came out, it was
goes.
already massive.
Project Moon hasn't let us down yet, and I hope that if you haven't experienced the full story, that this video makes
wish
you
you had
want to
talked
play
about
the
it.
previous games as well.
saw dispensing was
because they're
there.
incredible. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, I am very much just right now really wanting to go play the game, damn it. I haven't played in the last... What time is this stream? Okay, it's been 4.5 hours. I haven't played in the last 4.5 hours, man. That's not a joke. I was literally playing right before the stream started. I'm addicted to freaking Limbus Company. It's so good. And also, I can just go grind the dungeon and just see how many crazy combinations I can pull together with teams that aren't there. I did my first Rupture team, and while I felt like I was struggling on every human enemy, as soon as a boss came out, they were dead on round 2. And I was like, oh, shit. Granted, I'm used to Blood Fiends where everything is dead by round 2. So it's still fun. I'm still okay with that. It's just so good. All right, so we got... No, it's 4:30. We did 4 videos, but one of them was a significant chunk of time because I did the Indie Cross video in one go, where I meant to split that up, so... Yeah, I love this. 8-Bit Hypocrite did a great job, and I kind of want to check out their other videos that aren't even Project Moon related just to see what other works they've checked out in this style of, well, essay. It's good, man. What I'm basically saying is I'm going to go play Limbus Company. You guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. Hit it up, subscribe, give him a like, and see if there's any more videos, maybe about Leviathan he made. I don't know. And just what the hell is going on, because I want to know if there's more things from them I should check out, because I like their style of content. I like what they're doing, and I like how they give the information without giving too many spoilers. Except for Lobotomy Corporation, which you're not going to play that. And if you are a masochist, and you're probably fine with spoilers because you're there for the pain. You know, I'm saying that out loud as a joke, but just from what little I know of Lobotomy Corporation, it's also completely serious. You're there for the pain. And everyone else should be aware of it. And they should run away screaming from you because it's probably required. I don't make the rules, I just follow them. But joking aside though, link below. Hit it up. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.